Well, the contractors are hard at work down there. There's bound to be some noise every now and then. Welcome to my garage. All right, I'm going to build a trailer. It's a nice little aluminum boat, but the trailer is way too big. I mean, this trailer is made for a bigger boat, a much bigger boat. It's adjustable. You can see how wide the trailer is. That U-bolt there can be moved out to here to widen this out. The rollers don't sit on the boat level. They don't contact the boat all the way across. See, there's a gap right there. And it's really a pain to load on the trailer. It doesn't want to load on right. Little 15 horse motor. So what I did was I went to the metal supply shop and I bought 3 10-foot lengths of 1.5 by 3 C-channel, 30 feet. And I bought 1 length of 3-inch square tubing, 10 feet. So altogether I bought 40 feet of metal. This is my rough drawing. So I'm going to take that 10-foot long side right here and I'm going to bend it at 6 feet. It's a 35-degree angle to make this 4-foot section come over and meet this 3-inch channel. Now my angle's a little bit off because I measured to the center of the C-channel and not the outer edge. But it's going to work and I'll show you why. So this is 4 foot on this side and 6 foot here. Now that there's another C-channel going across there, welded from side to side and welded to the 3-inch square tubing right in the middle. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points of weld there. The C-channel is 10 feet long, so that'll be plenty long enough. The total length of the trailer, 16 feet. 10 feet, 120 inches, 6 feet, 72 inches. And that's my plan. Now also on the top here, I've got a piece of flat iron and I'm going to cut out a gusset. I don't know, for lack of a better term, it's going to sit on top of this side rail. It's not going to be welded into the web, it'll be right onto the top. What I'm in the process of doing here is leveling up the 3-inch square tubing. Got it sitting on my workmate and my rigid work stand. Got it level, and I'm trying to level it up this way. When I get it leveled that way, I will weld this to it so that those lines line up. The scribe lines line up. You can see that I've cut the contour out for this to fit in here like this. Basically what I did, I took a cutoff wheel and I cut straight in that way on both sides. I measured how deep the channel is from this edge to there, and I cut straight down to the cut I made here. Then I laid this on top of it and marked out my contour. So when I put it on top of it, I took a scribe on the inside and marked out the contour, took my cutoff wheel and cut the contour, and it fits in there pretty nice. I cut two of them. There's one down here. This is a 10-foot piece of C-channel right here. This is one side. Also, you want to make sure that your end is 90 degrees so that when you weld this cross beam to it, the cross beam front leading edge is plumb. And then the obvious, you want to make sure that this end is square this way so that it makes a 90-degree corner on both sides. So now that I've checked everything is level, plumb, and square, I'm ready to tack this cross member onto the tongue. And for the safety aficionados out there, yes, I did move all the gas cans outside. I'm going to be using a Lincoln 180 weld pack. It's a nice little welder, it does a good job. Squared it up, measuring diagonally from this corner up to this corner. They are the same on both sides. Now, I don't know if it's got a twist in it this way, but I'm not too concerned about that right now. I'm just looking for it to be square. I have this scribe line right here, so I've already laid this out, but that's where this edge goes. I've got one on the other side too. Now what I did was I measured from, well, I put a 4-foot mark right there from the end of this aluminum. Put the aluminum right on the scribe line on that side rail. Then I measured out here to the center of the square tubing. So if I was to bend this piece here to the center of the square tubing, that's where it would come out. So what I did was I took that line, which is this line, which is where my 4-foot length will come to, put the aluminum in the center right there on those cross hatches, and measured down to the scribe line on the side. And I marked out the angle. As you can see, I marked out this angle. So it comes from the outside of the scribe line straight up through the cross hatches on the center of the square tubing, right where a 4-foot length will intersect. I marked out that angle. That's this angle here. I measured that angle, it's 35 degrees. So divide that in half, 17.5. So I had 90 degrees, subtracted 17.5, I come out with this. 90 degrees, add 17.5, I come out with this. That's where I'm going to notch out this side rail. Okay, what I did here was put some cardboard shims under the corners. This one didn't need any because this is the high corner. And I shimmed up the tongue end of it. So now this is level, that's level, back end is level, and this is level, and the square tubing is level. So that means there's no warp one way or the other. This frame is level. So now instead of being 6 feet from the rear, my cross member is now 71.5 inches from the rear. And that's because it's lined up with the notch. And that's where I will weld. And it's my trailer. I can do what I want. Okay, guess what I did? You'll never guess. I cut off the tongue. You're asking me why? Well, I'll tell you why. Remember when I said I was going to weld it on the center line? Well, I had 3 lines. I had a center line. Then I had a line 1.5 inches over and 1.5 inches over this way. 3 inches. Because I wanted to see if the square tubing was really lined up with the center. When I lined it up to weld it, I lined it up with a line that was on this side 1.5 inches away from the center. And I welded the whole thing up. Well, I had to cut it off, grind it flat, square up the end, and here I am again. But I'm going to weld this frame up. I decided to do it different. And I think this is the best way to do it. The other way I did it was not the good way to do it. I've got it all leveled up again. I don't have it squared up. But I'm going to tack that corner and that corner. Then I'm going to square up the back end. And then I'm going to tack it so that it's square. And then I will put the tongue in there, line it up with the center line, and weld it in. Nobody's perfect. I've got a string line right on the center mark for this rear cross member. And that string line runs up the center of the square tubing. And I bent a nail into a U so it would hook around the inside of the square tubing. Then I bent the head up at 90 degrees, clamped it on with vice grips, put it in the middle, and put the string around it so it's in the center. So everything's straight. I know my frame is square. The tongue is going to be straight. I welded some ears onto this is the bottom of the trailer, and I welded some ears onto the angled C-channel so I could get a clamp on it and squeeze it together. Now I've got it together. I'm going to tack it. First I've got to get the elevation right. This is a little low, or this is high, it's low here. This has got to go down. This has got to go down. This has got to go down a little bit too. So I'm going to raise that hitch end up a little bit and then fidget with these here to get the elevation right. And then I'm going to weld it. Yeah, I'll just go ahead and weld it. I'm not going to tack it. I'll just go ahead and weld it because it's right where I want it to be. I'm having a little trouble with the top side. There's a gap. This gap is a little wider because the C-clamp is wedging down in there, pushing it open. But there was a gap on this side too. So I used the C-clamp to pull it in. Now I'm going to weld it. Okay, I put that corner where it meets the edge of the frame, and if I measure 90 degrees out here up to this 90-degree corner from there, that is 4.5 inches. So if I measure 4.5 inches this way and go 90 degrees, and I cut that angle right to there, that will give me the same angle here. And what I'll have, and then I will take and measure where I cut. I'll go 4.5 inches, 90-degree cut right here, so that when I cut this piece in the center here, I can flip it over and it will line up with this edge to there and that edge to there. I can take this piece and flip it over on the other side there, and it will follow that angle over there. If that makes any sense. That doesn't make any sense. Okay, I've got one gusset cut. Fits it. I will cut the other one. All right, that fits really good. And I know some of you are wondering, am I going to weld that up? Well, yes I am, but not on this side. I'm going to weld this plate on there, and then I'm going to flip the trailer frame over, and I'm going to weld that up on the back side. I can get to it from the back side. And then what that'll do is, because that's so wide, it'll be a fillet weld, and I will fill in that gap, and it will also weld it to the plate. It'll weld it from the bottom side to this plate. Ground an angle approximately 45 degrees on the frame and on the gusset plate. That way when I weld it, it's a fillet weld, and when I weld it, my filler material will penetrate well below the surface, this surface here, and this edge of the plate, all the way along here and along here. That way I can grind this weld off and be assured that it's still going to be strong because it's welded back into the groove. I'm not going to bother doing that on the ends because I'm not going to grind these off. I'll just weld those here and here and here, and I'm not going to grind them. But this is the side of the trailer, and I want it to be flat. I don't want the weld to show or protrude on this side. had an old trailer that I used when I went to get lumber, and I needed something to haul it on. And it's pretty much finished. Not much good for anything but parts. So I've got the fender and I've got the spring hangers. I'm going to cut them off of this side rail. I've got the axle over here. It's got springs. The bearings are still good. I'll probably check them and repack them. It's straight, not bent. This is the axle I'm going to use. So I'm going to get to cutting.